Hey, Jordan Bench here, jordanbench.com. In this video, I'm going to share with you Bible study apps that I use and that I recommend. So all I want to do is just give you a good overview of the main apps that I typically use currently. And I just want to show you some of the differences that these apps have because really, I have not found one app that I can just like really invest everything into because most of these apps will lack certain features and they have other features that other apps have and vice versa. So really, for me, I kind of have to use the majority of these apps based on what I'm trying to do or the way that I'm trying to study. So what I'm going to do is just going to go ahead and show you some of these apps just so you get a good idea of like what I use and how I use it. So the majority of these apps, they're strictly like Bible apps, but they have different features. Some of them have dramatized audio Bibles. Some of them are actually in sync with the audio and the text. Some of them have like Greek concordances in them, and others are like scripture or Bible memory apps. So that's kind of like the main tools that I typically use. I'm not going to cover in depth on what every single app has because this video would just be way too long. I'm just going to cover the main points of what I like about it and how I use it. And maybe there's something I don't like, then I'll point that out as well. So if you look at my screen, I'm showing you this from my phone because these are phone apps. The very first app that I have is on the top left. It's the Holy Bible by YouVersion. So this is the app that most people will typically use. This is like your beginner or starter app, and it's actually a really good app. One of the reasons why I like it so much is simply because there's so many translations in it. So let me go ahead and show you that. I'll make myself smaller. Yeah. So I'll just go ahead and show you this one. And really, I'm going to be kind of quick going through these. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on each app. I just want to kind of just give you a good overview. So the first one, as you see that I'm right now using the MEV version, which is why I like this app so much because it uses the modern English version, which is it's a newer version and it's based off the Textus Receptus, which is what the King James was based off of, but it's modernized. Dr. Michael Brown was one of the people who was part of the translating, so that's one of the reasons why I like this version so much. But it has a ton of other versions as well. It'll show you your recently used, and it goes into a whole bunch of other ones. You can also see how some of these have a little like speaker next to it, and what that will do is it actually allows you to listen to it. But I don't use this app to listen to the Bible, mainly because it's not dramatized, and I like the dramatized version. So that's pretty much really all I need to say about this one. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that all these apps do, a lot of features they have. I'm just simply not going to cover all of them. I'm just giving you the bite-sized piece of what these ones do. The next one is the Blue Letter Bible, BLB. And this one's really neat simply because if you click on a verse, it is going to highlight to you the interlinear. So let's see. So you'll see a list of stuff on the right. It's a menu option. And the main thing I use this for is the interlinear. So I click on the interlinear, and it's going to bring up the Greek or the Hebrew words based on if I'm reading the Old or the New Testament. And so it'll show you, let's see here. So yeah, so it'll show you verse by verse, or I'm sorry, word by word, what it is. And you can just simply click on it. So for instance, so here's God, and it's Theos. And it'll, if you click on the little speaker, it'll pronounce it for you, and then it kind of gives you the root word, but it also gives you an outline of the biblical usage, and it will show you the Strong's definition. So it kind of goes through and gives you all that information, which is really good if you're trying to do Bible studies and you're trying to get like word Bible studies. You're trying to get a deeper meaning and maybe even link other words together. It's really good because a lot of times there might be one word that will have a different meaning, but the translators use the same like English word, but really it might mean something different. So it's really good to kind of use this to get like a Greek concordance to, I should say a Strong's concordance, just to get a better idea of what the word really does mean, to get a deeper meaning of it. So that's pretty much all I use it for. It does have a audio version. If I click right here, the problem is I don't know, I'm just not a fan of it. I think there's other ones that are much better. I love this app, I just don't use it for the audio version. So the next one I'm going to show you is my Sword Bible, and one of the main reasons why I use it is because it has the Strong's Concordance built right into the text. So if I click on KJV, bam, there you go. You can just see how the Strong's number is right there in the text. So I can click on Baptized, and it shows me the information that I need. So bam, there it is. Real easy to do. The other thing is it does have the ISV version, which is a version that Chuck Missler was a part of. He has passed away, but it's actually a pretty good version to look at. So that is my Sword Bible. The next one is Bible by Tecarta. So I'll click on that one. And one of the reasons why I use this app is because it has the King James Version dramatized, and the text is going to be synced up with the audio. So as you listen to it and as you read, they're going to be in sync. So I'll go ahead and show you that right now. Hit play, beginning with verse 1.
Acts 2. And when the day of Pentecost was fully come, they were all with one accord in one place. And suddenly there came a sound from heaven as of a rushing mighty wind, and it filled all the house where they were sitting. And there appeared unto them cloven.
Okay, so as you can see, like it goes from one verse to the next verse, and you can hear the music in the background. So that's one of the reasons why I like the dramatized versions, is because you feel like you're there. It's just really engaging compared to hearing typically like a old man with a monotone voice. And I apologize if you are that old man with a monotone voice. It's just not for me. I like the dramatized versions. So anyways, yeah, that's pretty much the only reason why I use this app, is because it has the King James Version dramatized. But like I said, there's a lot of other features that every single one of these apps have. I'm just not going into them. The next one is Bible Offline. If I click on that one, this one, the version that I use, so it has the NIV Live, I think it's called the NIV Live Bible Audio, which I did pay for, but it was on sale, so it was either like $2.99 or $5.99 or $9.99. I don't remember what it was, but I actually did buy it because it was in sync, and it was one of the first apps I found that had like the in sync audio with the text, but it uses the NIV. I don't really read the NIV a whole lot, but for this purpose, it was a way for me to listen to it. But I do like this app, and I do like what it has. It does have other versions that you can buy as well, but I just use this one for now. But it's basically the same. It's basically the same thing from what you just saw. How it'll just go like in order. So I actually use this one quite a bit. Let's see here. So the next one is Bible.Is. So Bible.Is is pretty good because it has the ESV version dramatized audio. But what it doesn't have is the in sync, to where it's going to highlight the verse and is also going to play in sync with itself. So basically, you have to listen and scroll as you're listening, which I don't know. I prefer to have it just right there in sync, so I don't have to I don't have to do much of the work. I can just follow along. But it does use the ESV version, which I really like. It does have other versions as well, as you can see here. Some are dramatized, some are non-dramatized. But I use it for the ESV version. So that's Bible.Is. Okay, so the next two apps I'm going to show you is Remember Me and Scripture Typer. So these two apps are mainly for scripture memorization or verse memorization. So like Remember Me, this is I believe for Android it's a free app, and I'm trying to think. For iOS, it might be paid. I don't know. I have an Android, so I don't know what iOS is, and they might have a paid thing. I'm not positive, but it's pretty neat because you can categorize verses. Like for instance, right here, I have spiritual warfare. So I categorize all these verses in spiritual warfare, and what I can do is, I can commit a verse to this, and when I commit a verse, I can dedicate myself to trying to memorize it. And this app, Remember Me, actually has I think 4 different ways that will help you remember the scripture. So 4 different methods or modes which it uses to help you memorize scripture, which is actually a pretty neat way of doing it. This app is I actually use this one quite often, and I will say this, I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to memorize scripture. I spend more time just trying to get a better understanding of the scripture in its entirety. But what I do like to do is make these different categories, and whenever I find scriptures, to place them in the categories So that way I can always have a reference to look at whenever I find something else that I can like add to it. So that's one of the reasons why I use this app a lot. But like I said, I think this app is free, but it actually works out really well. You can see like I made a mistake and I actually accidentally added somebody else's like list to mine, and so now I have all these categories which I don't want. I actually did have like my own categories, but so I have to figure out how to get rid of that. But this is a pretty good app. I really do like this one. Let's see if I can just show you something. What's a good one? So it can just show you that, and then from right here, you can just go ahead and find different ways in which you want to like memorize it. You can record your voice. This is another thing too. You can record your voice, and you can play it over. So it's really good when you can listen to it, like when you can speak it, and you can also listen to it, and you can see the words. That's just a really strong way to get the scripture in you, okay? Because that's just so important to actually get the scripture in you. And I know for me, I really do need to be more diligent at trying to memorize verses, because like I know a lot of Bible. I spent years just listening to the Bible, and reading the Bible as well. So I have a lot of the word in me. The problem is a lot of times I have a hard time with referencing exactly pinpointing where it's at. But it's like I know it's there because I've listened to it over and over and everything else. So this is one of the apps that helps me get a better idea of those references. So the next app I'm going to show you is Scripture Typer. I would recommend, though, if you are interested in this one, to actually buy the paid version, because the free version of it just simply doesn't. I don't think it does enough. Like I think it limits you too much to where you can't really utilize it. So it's like you pretty much have to. I think you pretty much have to upgrade and pay for it, which I think I did. I think it was like $10, and it was. I think you get like four different but 4 different people in your family I think can use it as well. So if you want your family to use it, you can do that route. But pretty much if you want to use this app, I think you do have to have like the paid version for it to be like worth anything, if I remember right, because it just limits you on how many verses you can have and stuff like that. This one actually does have a built-in Bible, so it's kind of neat because say you're reading, and as you're reading through, you can select a verse, and as you select the verse, you can commit it. I'm not going to do this one, but you can hit memorize there at the bottom left-hand corner, and it will actually add it to a category if you want that you can start to begin to memorize. So that right there is a pretty neat little feature as you're reading through. But I typically don't use this app as like my Bible reading app. I do mainly use an actual Bible to read from, and I use some of these other apps I was showing you, but it does have that feature if that's something you're interested in. But it does work on a pretty neat way of like memorizing scripture, so I'll show you that. So if I click on, let's see here, freedom from sin. That's not what I want. So it has 3 different ways of like memorizing scripture. You can type it out, so it'll have all the words on the screen, and then you just begin to type the first letter and you type it out. The second one is to memorize it. So this is type it. You can see how it shows you the verse, and you just have to type in the first letters. The next one is memorize it. So it hides certain words from you, and you have to remember what they are and type them in as you go. And it actually keeps stats too. So as you miss words and as you get stuff right, it keeps track of everything. So it kind of like lets you know like with where you're at. And the last one is master it, which is there's nothing. You just have to go off of your memory. So if you're able to master it, then that right there shows you that you pretty much have the verse down pretty well because you're going off of nothing. But it starts you off with the whole verse, and then it just weans you into it. So it's actually a really good app to use. And you can, if you see on the screen there, you can actually record your own voice too to help trigger it. One thing I did forget to say is that Remember Me and Scripture Typer both these Bible memory apps, Scripture memory apps. What they both do have is like flashcards. So it'll show you the verse, and it will also you can flip it and move it and stuff like that too. Let's see if I can show you that. Oh, that's right. I have to do this. Click and hold on it, and you hit flashcards. So you'll see here's the verse, and that's not what I wanted. Yeah, there you go. You just swipe it. And if you swipe it, it shows you the verse. And if you want a new verse, you go up. So, and if we see right here, yeah, you hit done and you hit got it. So anyways, that right there is just a a good example of that verse. So these are the 8 main Bible apps that I currently use, and I like them just because they're all different, they're all unique, and I have different purposes of why I use them. So anyways, I hope you got some, like, maybe some good ideas of what apps you can be using. Maybe you're only using one of these apps and you're like, hey, I could try this one out. So if that's the case, then awesome. Go ahead and comment below and let me know what apps you do currently use, because maybe there's an app that I just don't know about and that you're using and you absolutely love it. Because I know there's a lot of other apps out there and I have experimented with a lot of them, but these are the ones that I typically currently use now. But go ahead and comment below if there is an app that you use, and let me know if you are going to be using any one of these apps, or if you found one that is like interesting. Go ahead and give this video a like or a thumbs up if you find this kind of content good and relevant to what you're trying to do. And also go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video.